it just like literally makes me happy just thinking about it, because I'm like, that never happened before. That's never happened before.
Louis, thanks so much for coming onto the show, man.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm pumped for this conversation. It's nuts because you're a part of the community, you smash the next level, and one thing that like I really like admire about you is that you claimed your purpose. Like, I don't know, how long ago was it?
To be honest, I don't think I fully claimed it until the very last week of finishing the course. And main part of it was like when I kept doing the why, I realized that I wanted to be the breaking generation of my family. My parents, I don't know, I don't want to like put any shade on my family or anything, but it doesn't have the greatest last name. Like if someone was to think of my last name, I probably wouldn't think of anything great. And I wanted to be the change in that. I wanted to be like, when I have kids and stuff, I want it to be changed. I want it to be start of a new legacy. And I'd never really even thought about that until I started with the community.
Yeah, it was just crazy. And then like fast forward, you're building a motocross track in Bali. Tell me about how you like went from that to like understanding what it is that you really wanted to do, and then like doing something so big and grand, and like the steps are there. Like you can see the map, you can see the destination now.
Well, it's actually a pretty large story. Like if you want me to fully go into it, it all really starts with my friend Jai that's been on this calling me. And actually I messaged him and said, what's all this? I've seen him posting all this stuff, and I was like, what is this? And I'm like, I wasn't even interested. I was just curious. I was like, what is it? And then he messaged me, and then he said, I actually think that you would be a really good candidate for this course, because he knew that I had something in me and I wanted to be a little bit better. And then I remember calling you, and then after it, you told me how much it was, and I was still like, because I'd never spent that amount of money on myself. And then I was like, And then I called Jai back, and I was like, is it really worth it? And then he goes, it's either going to change your life, or you know that you've tried something and you don't need to do it anymore. And to be honest, from that point, it's honestly changed my life. And then once I finished the course, I had realized, let me go back a bit. I'd just moved to Queensland. I knew that I had to sort of get away from Melbourne because I had a pretty toxic life down there, just the way that I was living.
The alcohol, partying.
Yeah, just to be honest, I'd gotten past most of the stuff that I was doing. I was partying a lot, like at some points every day for years on end. And I was doing a lot of shit that we can get in later if you want. But I'd moved to Queensland with a good friend, and I feel like moving away and traveling by yourself, you get the time to just do what you want to do. When you are surrounded by a million people and a million friends, you're just constantly getting dragged here, there and everywhere. But I finally had some time to just do me. And then after I finished the course, I did a couple of overseas trips by myself, and I was living by myself for a while, and I just realized that what was I doing during the day? I was going to work, I was riding my dirt bike 2 or 3 times a week, and I was going to gym, and I was boxing. So I was like, they're obviously the 3 things right now that I really enjoy and that I want to continue doing in my life. And motocross has been the one thing that's been there consistently my whole life. And I always thought that I was like, I'm never good enough to be a pro to make money out of stuff. And I was like, how can I monetize this? And I never had the belief in myself that I could actually do something. I was like, I don't want to be a sales rep or anything. And then there's a dude in Melbourne, Shane Boyd. He's got a track, and he's just like a family dude that just runs his track, and he rides it every day. And he's my favorite track down there as well. And I was like, this dude's living the dream. And I was like, I want to do that. And I was like, how can I do this? And I was thinking about it for ages. And then I went to Bali at the start of the year, and I did like a few of the tours and stuff over there. We were going around to like the volcanoes and the rainforests and all that kind of stuff. And I remember after finishing it, I did it with my sister's husband and one of his friends as well. And I remember on the way home, I was like, I could do this so much better than these guys. And literally on the way home, I'd started writing a business plan. I'd never written a business plan in my life. And I was doing it just because I was just so excited. I was like, this is it. This is it. Like, I'm going to do it. And then literally I got home and I finished writing. I wrote like 5 or 6 pages of stuff. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I got my sister's husband and one of his friends to do it. And then literally they offered me like 75K straight away. And I was like, holy fuck. And then I went home and then I was thinking about it for a bit. And then I was like, you know what? I actually don't want to do the tours. I'm like, if this is going to be the thing that I'm going to be doing, it needs to be exactly what I want to do. So, and what exactly I wanted to do was build my own motocross track and pretty much be Shane Boyd, be that dude that just got to ride his track every day and then had people come and possibly have the best one in the world, really. Or not in the world, in Australia or in Bali or whatever I wanted to do, because the plan was to do it in Bali, because I was like, I can do this in Bali because it's a lot cheaper. And then I created the plan that next time I go to Bali, I'm going to just drive around and just try find some sort of land. And I spoke to heaps and heaps of people, and lots of people were like, oh, I'm going to try help you. I'll try help you. But at the end of the day, I knew that I had to do something, and I wasn't just going to have to rely on people. And like we said, when we went to Tony Robbins, there was multiple people there that were like, I can help you do this. I can help you do that. But then obviously, like, I spoke to them, they were a little bit flaky, and then I was just like, I just got to do something. And it was sounding like a huge task to do, but literally just thinking of what's the first thing I can do. And the first thing I was like, I'm literally just going to get on a scooter and just go ride the streets and just find land. And then I was literally on Google Maps and I was just saving spots. And I was like, I'm just going to go because my sister's got some people that live, like some workers for them. And he said that find some spots, put them on Google Maps, and I'll go there and speak to the owners of the land. And then I was just cruising around and I go down this driveway and I actually find this huge bit of land that's already got a rundown motocross track on it. And the dude was there. The dude lives there. And he was just like walking around. And I was like, can I have a look around? And then I was like speaking to this dude through Google Translate because I couldn't even speak to him. And then I was like, just walked around the track, looked around the property, and he was like, showed me around the property. And I was like, straight away, I was like, what the fuck is happening? I was like, this can't be real. And then I Google Translate, I was like, are you open to investment or something like this? And he was like, massive smile on his face, like, yeah. And then after that, straight away, I was like, this is it. I didn't know, but I was like, it couldn't be this easy. And then I went home. I spoke to his name's Kanok, the guy that works with my sister in Bali, and I was like, "Can you go over that? Can you come back with me and have a meeting so you can translate because I can't talk to this dude." And I went back there and we had a meeting for like an hour and talked some things out, and then literally from that point, I wrote up what's it called?
Lease contract or something.
Yeah, it's called I can't even remember. Anyway, there's a contract to say that he can't do business with anybody else until the end June 2024, and so we wrote that contract. He signed that, and I gave him a deposit, and now I've just had a surveyor out there to measure up all the land to find out exactly, because you pay per acre, and so to find out exactly how much land there is, because there's buildings on there as well. There's already like a toilet block buildings, so yeah, I want to renovate the building, so make like a kitchen and stuff in there and storage area, and fix up the toilet block and do some like heaps of shit there. And yeah, so I had the surveyor out there and they said, okay, it's 40 acres. So then we made a deal, and now I've given a deposit, and mid next year when I get the money, or I've given the deposit, but I want to do everything at once. So start to mid next year, I'm going to start doing the renovations, and then
So sick.
yeah, and then I'm going to move over there at least for a while and try to live that dream. And
Build it up, yeah.
yeah, well, I was going to go all out and just put everything I had into it straight away. But then I spoke to some people that gave me some good advice and said, spend as little money as possible and see if it works. And then if it starts working, then you can throw the kitchen sink at it. So, because I was straight away just going to build guest houses on there straight away, like barley huts, and do everything straight away. And they're like, just see if it works first, and then
and go from there.
yeah,
It's cool actually seeing you, because it was like when like I first like met you and started knowing you, it was like there were some things to sort of work out. You're like, oh, I'm working out a few things. It's like you worked them out and you started crushing it in your business, and you're like, I want to do this motocross thing. You went to Tony Robbins, then you climbed Mount Everest.
I didn't climb Mount Everest, but
Hiked up Mount Everest. Just imagine it. It's
But
just like
yeah.
a stone wall that just goes for something. You just,
I went to base camp and a few other peaks, but yeah, it was. I know I hate saying base camp because it sounds like it's not really an achievement if you don't know what it is, but it's actually quite hectic. And
like
yeah,
you said, it was a 14-day hike, wasn't
it
it?
was 15 days straight, and yeah.
Is that up and down?
So we did a big loop. So we did extra. So normally if you just go up there, you just go up there and back, but we ended up doing extra. So we did Gyoko Summit, and we did they always had crazy names. I can't even remember the other one.
Do you recommend it? Do you recommend people go and do Everest?
I would say yes to anyone. I think anybody could do it if you have the mental capacity to get through it, because there was people getting flown out in helicopters every single day, either from altitude sickness or people just giving up. So in some spots, it is like a little bit of a highway. There is like a fair few people, but like the further you get into it, the less people get more dropped off. And just, I was so grateful. The porters over there, they're the people that carry the bags. They're like the one that we had, he was only 19 years old and he's probably 50 kilos and he's carrying like 80 kilos on his back.
Up and down.
Yeah. And that's just what he does. And they get paid donuts. They pretty much live off tips. And I'm like, these guys are crazy. Yeah, there was people carrying, they said people carry up to 100 to 120 kilos on their back.
Up and down.
Yeah.
To base camp and back.
Yeah.
They're surely the fittest people in the world.
They would have to be.
Surely they'd have to be so fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly couldn't believe it. And they're like going up quicker than we are. Because they have to get there first. So then when we get to the tea houses we'll stay in, that all of our stuff was already there, ready to go.
They don't tell you that, eh? It's like you can just full white man it out there.
You-
You carry my bag, please.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I couldn't have done it. I had so you get them to take a bag, and then you have to hold like a day pack, and just that day pack was hectic.
What did like altitude sickness feel like? I've never been high enough to.
I didn't have altitude sickness, but I did struggle like sleeping a few nights. So like a couple of nights in bed, I was just sitting there going, and because you have to actually consciously breathe, it's like really hard to like chill, and then it makes your heart beat really fast as well. So it's hard to chill and get to sleep. And also when you're actually hiking up and you're already out of breath, like it was pretty intense. Like it was honestly, you were so in your mind. If you weren't mentally prepared to do it, I don't think you could do it. And like I said, if I didn't have my friend, there was things I would have given up on, because there's some parts you can give up on. Like that, we got told that the the acclimatization days were the chill days, and we're like, sweet, there's gonna be a couple chill days, but on the acclimatization days are the days that you have to hike up a mountain and acclimatize. So when we got there, I thought I was like,
and then back down.
yeah. So we're like, we're chilling today, and they're like, nah, we've got to hike up that mountain, which is going to take like 4 hours to get up there. And it's just like,
And then chill there for a while and then come back down.
yeah. And on one of the days it was snowing and we left at like 4 in the morning, so it was dark, it was snowing, and you couldn't see nothing. And I was like, I felt like crying, and me and my mate were like hugging and shit halfway through. We're like, we could do this.
Is Mount Everest like when you look at it, is it around other mountains or is it just this ginormous?
No, it's covered by heaps of other mountains, the Himalayas and lots of other mountains. So there's not even that many spots that you can actually see it, which is weird because the highest point on Earth, but because it's covered by so many other mountain ranges that you can't really see it from a lot of places.
Did you get to see it at all?
Yeah, we've seen it heaps of times, but literally just like the tip of it, like so it was small.
Oh yeah, because you're already so high up.
Yeah.
Damn, I was expecting like this just gigantic mountain like in the middle of nowhere.
It's actually pretty underwhelming, like the side of it, but just the sheer size of all the other mountains. So like, I don't know if you've been snowboarding or anything like that before. So I have spent like a bit of time like in the mountains, but those mountains look like little baby mountains. Like it looks cool as like when you're snowboarding down, everything's like mountains everywhere. It looks amazing. But when we're over there, everything is just on steroids. Like it's just huge. Makes you feel so tiny.
Did you get like any perspective from it?
Huge. I got heaps. Number one, saying that I could literally do everything. Like at the end of the day, like if you were standing in one point and you look where you came from, you'd be like, if you just looked at it and said, we have to go over there, you'd be like, impossible. But just literally just that one step in front of each other, you can get there so easily.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So I'd like to hear like a couple more stories as well for you in terms of how you like came to understood your purpose and what you had to like break through. Because like if you just look at your last year, it's just been nuts, right? You've just been like kicking all these goals, business and everything. What were some of like the catalysts and the stories that helped you and lessons that you learned to help you get that drive, get that motivation and really take action on what's important instead of just like falling into the mundane?
Well, I think that I've always had it inside of me. I think that I've always been a driven person. I've always been sort of like the one out of my friends that's always looked for more and always like try to be like the leader sort of. Like even as I was younger, I was doing it in the wrong ways. So like even when I started my apprenticeship, I started a bricklaying apprenticeship when I was 16. As soon as I left school, Dad's like, if you leave school, you got to get a job. And I got a job, and literally on the first day, I was like, I wanted to quit, but I didn't want to look like a pussy to my boss and my other friend that was working there. So I was like, I've got to go back. But then straight away, I was like, how else can I make money? How else can I do things? So straight away, I was working, but I was sort of slacking, and I started dealing drugs from a very early age. And I realized that I thought that was going to be my life. I thought that was who I was going to be. I thought that I was going to be a partier. I thought I was going to be selling drugs my whole life, and I thought I was going to be like some kingpin pretty much. And I sort of had up roller coasters of that, and then I got pretty addicted to ice for a long time, and then lots of bad things happened. Just like broken up with my girlfriend, nearly got stabbed, had guns, baseball bats, like came to my house, and it was just pretty gnarly. And I was like, this isn't me. What
do you think led you to that? Like, what was like the spiral to get you?
My boss, my apprentice boss, it was him. I became him. He was the dude. When I used to come to work, he was only 24 when I started, when I was 16. And
isn't that crazy? I just want to say, like, you had that intuition hit from the first day, I want to quit. And then out of validation from other people at that age, which you don't know, it's like, oh, no, I've got to stay.
Yeah. When I was younger, it completely was that. It was just who's cool, who's strong, who's a badass, who can fight the most, who can do all this stuff. And it was a constant battle of me not being that person, but trying to be. And then the way that I tried to do it was to be this badass drug dealer. But like I said, when I first rocked up to work, my boss was was this person who had a flashy car, had all the money, had the business. Everyone looked up to him. He was respected. And
So it's like your role model as a man. It was like,
yeah,
this guy.
he was. And he just looked like, my point of view, he looked like he was killing it. He looked like the coolest person on earth. And that's who I wanted to be, because that was really my only role model, really. And then I literally became that person. And then after a while, I had a bad breakup with a girl, and
It'll get you every time.
yeah,
A really bad breakup.
And
Get any
then
guy, I don't care
that-
what anyone says. If you're attached and to get you, oh god.
and then I had police raid my house. I thought I was going to jail, and then I stopped dealing after that. But then I continued to smoke ice, and then my boss that I was working for at the time was giving it to me for free every day. Like, he would literally rock up to my parents' house. I didn't have a license either. I lost my license. Like, I did nothing. And then, I remember one morning he rocked up, and I was like, if you bring that thing to my parents' house again, I'm going to smash it over your head and I'm going to quit. And then I ended up working like a little bit longer with him. And then after that, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to start my own business. I was like, I don't know what happened. And there's a lot in between that, but it took me like 2 years of trying to quit, to actually quit. And I think the biggest thing is never stop. When you're in a position like that, never stop quitting, because one of the times it's going to work. And I have this thing inside of me that my body just, I don't know if it's just growing up or what, but my body just changes. Like, all of a sudden, just like one day, it's just like, I've had enough. And it's happened with lots of things. Even like just before I started the personal development journey, like, I knew that I'd had enough of that life. And that's when I moved up to Queensland. It's like, I don't know if it's like intuition or what, but my body just knew that I had to change it. But I feel like I had to do that to get to the place that I am to now. I can't even really remember what the actual first question was, or where I got the drive and stuff from.
How did you create it? Because it's like you had those things, and then you started like, working on yourself, and you started like taking action on certain things, and because that spiral down would have been wild.
Yeah.
In terms of it, like,
because it was, to be honest, I didn't do it because I wasn't doing drugs to be cool or anything, or to hide anything, or to run away from anything. I genuinely loved doing drugs for a long time. And then when I deep down, and then I just got stuck. At the last 2 years, I was addicted, and that's when I was I might have been escaping things from my breakup and stuff. But after that, my body's like, no, I had enough. And then I sort of did stop. I did stop. And then I just lost my train of thought. But after that, I started my business. I just knew, I was working for that guy, and I was like, why the fuck am I still working for this dude? I'm like, I can do everything. He didn't even come to work. He literally just dropped us off and then left. And then I was like, I can do everything. And I remember I had this dude that I'd worked with before, and he messaged me, and he's like, his dad had just passed away, and he's like, I just got this this inheritance, and he's like, I want to start a bricklaying business, but I don't know what I'm doing. But he's like, you've got the knowledge, and I've got all the tools, pretty much. So then we started a business together, and then literally within like, I don't know, the first job or the second job, we had a punch on, and
oh no,
we were on scaffold, and I'm so angry. Like, this is the doggest thing ever, but I regret it. I punched him, and off the on the scaffold, and I like grabbed him, punched him, and he fell off the scaffold and like fucked him up. And then I was like, we're not doing this anymore. And then I called the builder, and I was like, when this guy stuffs everything up, call me and I'll take over it all. And by this stage, we did 2 jobs or something. I'd already like bought all my own stuff, because I was like, as soon as I get money, I'm just going to spend it all on tools. And then literally like a week later, the builder called me, and then I started taking over his jobs, and then that's how my business started, really. And then I had that for like 6 or 7 years, but I was still just living in emotionless. When I was growing up, everyone always thought that I was like emotionless, and I didn't care about anything because that was just like the persona that I had, and it was really hard. And like I said, I wasn't that person, but I created that over like 10 years. It was really hard to get out of that.
You identified as. How did you know? Like, how did that feel when you were in that position? If you're like, when you had the presumption that like, oh, people don't think I'm like can be emotional. People think I don't care. People don't think I give a fuck. And then really you do, and then it's like a struggle to be able to show it.
Yeah, at the start, I was happy with that. I sort of wanted that, and then
Why?
I don't know, because like I said, when I was younger, I wasn't that tough dude, but I wanted to be because that's what I thought was cool.
Put a casing on.
Yeah, and then when I got to a certain age, it was like, I'm not this guy anymore. I don't want to be this guy anymore. And then it's really cracked me open once I started your program, and it's crazy. I can't recognize that person who I was before. Like I've got so many stories that I honestly can't even believe that I'd done that stuff, like like the stupidest stuff. And thinking now, I'm like, yeah, just so many things. I'm just like, I can't believe I would do that, and I can't believe that it's me.
All right, when you start like sort of becoming aware, and you're like all of these things, like I think as well, like people be like, oh, I don't regret anything, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I got heaps of regrets, like, and it's okay that like, you know, because all those regrets have made me like who I am now. But of course, there's like things that I regret, and I actually own those, and I take them on as responsibility for lessons instead of just being
like,
like,
not to do them again.
Yeah, right. Because we can't. It's like I had to fuck up in every single way, shape, or form ever, so that I could learn something.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely had to learn the hard way every time. But it is like the main things that you'd think that I'd be regretful for, I'm not. It's just like some little acts that were really stupid. But the main things, like I said, I think I had to do them to get to the person I was today. But I do also always think I've wasted a lot of time, and how much further would I be ahead if I'd done this? But I'm in love with the journey now that I don't care. I'm in it now. Like I'm not that person now. I'm not who I was. I am who I am right now.
Do you feel grateful?
Absolutely. I never even knew what grateful was really. Like I knew what the word was, but I'd never felt it, or I'd never even sat down and just thought about what it was. And that was when I was in Nepal. Like there was moments every single day where I was like, I'm so grateful to just be here and witness this, and I'm so grateful that I'm not the porter.
So grateful I can up this.
Because just imagine if that was our life. If your job was to carry someone else's bag up mountains every day and get paid the smallest amount. So these people don't even have lives. So as soon as they get back, they're back on the road again. And then like I was speaking to them, and like they can't have girlfriends. They don't really have a social life and stuff. And we took these guys out, and we were like shouting them like alcohol, shouting them food. We bought them clothes, and they were literally like, when we went out with them, like they said that they literally had the best night of their lives. And then they have like these little porter huts.
Yeah.
Where we have, so we have dinner in the tea houses, and they have dinner in the porter house. This is like a cheaper accommodation for them. And they literally just sleep on the floor and stuff. And they took us in there, and they like made us meals and stuff. And they were giving us like their home brew and all this stuff like that. And we'll just shout at everyone. And it was the coolest night. And only one person there spoke English, and there was like 7 people in there. And it was me and my friend. And somehow we spent like 3 or 4 hours with them, like laughing and somehow communicating with them. And in the morning I was like, how did we speak to them? But I was like, I had the sickest night, but we could barely even speak to them. It was weird. And then after that, when we got back, so we had a porter and a guide. The guide's just the dude that organizes everything, and he just like walks with you. He took us to his parents' house, and he's got his mum to like make us a meal and stuff. And they were giving us home brew, and we're smoking weed in his bedroom and stuff. It was cool. They were,
the Himalayas.
Yeah, they were just so they were so grateful to have us, but it just made me feel so which I don't know if it's good or bad, but made me so grateful that I don't have their life. Like,
well, I believe
that I grew up in in our country, really.
Yeah. And I believe like a lot of what you obtain is like the level at what you believe that you're worth as well. And that like can prevent you as well. Like for me, because I find myself every time I go to Bali or a third world country, so much empathy for people that don't have our lifestyle. Even though when you go to Bali, it's like quite common that they think we're dumb. They're like, like these white people concerned about all these things and all these decisions, stuff like we're living the good life every day. But just in my perspective, I'm like, yeah, like the level of worth that we have is so important because then everyone has their place. Like it's like that when we went to Japan, which recently into Japanese culture, and it doesn't matter what job that they were doing, everyone was doing it as best as possible, whether it was sweeping the streets or like managing something. Like everyone was just like working the hardest and had so much pride in their work, and I was like, wow.
We definitely don't have that in Australia, I don't think, because why is that? Because we're overprivileged, maybe?
Yeah, so overprivileged, bro. It's crazy.
We have way too much opportunity, but you think they have that over there as well. But yeah, that's definitely, there's a lot of people here that don't realize the opportunity that we have.
Oh,
and
it's nuts. I was talking to, this week I was speaking to a Brazilian billionaire, and he was like, when I first moved to Australia, and he was like 19, 20 years old, he bought 2 houses, and he said, I bought 2 houses because you guys only have a 20% deposit to get a house. And he talked to accountant. The accountant's like, why do you have 2 houses? You're like 20 years old. And he's like, because they let me buy them. I just worked my ass off and just started buying fucking houses. Yeah. And he was like, it's nuts because in Brazil, it's so much harder to get land or property. He was like, what? This is a bargain. Are you serious? And then like we complain about everything. So it's nuts. And what I think is there's like not enough initiation. There's not enough like, role models or places that we can go to learn things, which is why like created Set the Standard community so we could do like retreats and the online stuff to like bridge that gap.
It's so crazy. Let me turn the tables here a bit, but how did you, what was your first personal development experience? Because it's absolutely crazy what you've built, and I would have never thought in a million years that I would have done something like this and it would have changed my life for the better. And so what was the first thing that you done? Did you do a course or did you just speak to someone, or what did you do?
I'll let you know, but I just want to mention like when you were at the next level retreat, like at the end, like your face, you look like 10 years younger. I remember coming up to you and I was like, Louis, look at your face. You were just like this massive smile, and I was like, I swear he's never going to get rid of that thing. And it looks like you haven't, so I'm happy with that.
A lot of people do. That's actually, let me say something first. Since probably the last year or so, I used to be like a really angry, negative person, and I think that I got that from my dad. I'm very similar to my dad in a lot of ways, and I've tried to. I use my parents more as a not what to be than what to be, like, which is sort of sad, but he's sort of like nearly even happy being angry and being in that thing, and I sort of took that on as well. And I used to, if you'd asked me like 2 years ago, I'd be sort of like a sour, sort of angry person, and I'd have to really try to be happy and positive. And I would have told you that I liked being angry. Like it felt good. And now the amount of times that I go on dates or whatever, and girls are like, you're always smiling. Like you never stop smiling. And I'm like, it just like literally makes me happy just thinking about it, because I'm like, that never happened before. It's never happened before.
That is crazy. It's like painted a smile on your face that's never coming off.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. My first personal development experience was honestly, it was just like competing in a bodybuilding show. Okay. Like I did like a lot of singing and dancing, acting as a kid. So we used to do all these theatre, these like improvisation exercises that we would do in the class. And I'd always try to be like, a bit of the class, come out and grab all the attention, like whatever. And I had a blast doing it. I used to think that adults were crazy because adults would all just sit there and like do nothing. And we'd do this weirdest shit in front of people. And because I was like trained as a kid, I didn't like give a shit, really what other people thought of when I was doing anything. And like I felt like I had my mum, my dad, school, government, uni, be like, be like this. It's not even just like do these things, because you can like do whatever you want, but they're like, be like this in terms of a person. I was like, no, I really want to do this. So I had to like break these things from my mum, break these things from my dad, to be like, no, I just want to do this. And eventually it was like, you know, I had like 5 or 6 bad years, and then it was like start competing in bodybuilding shows. And for me, I had to get like routine on point, diet on point, purpose on point, sleep on the right time. And when I was doing this, I had a friend who just like really young when I was still at uni, still working in a surf store. He was like, read this book. And it was just How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I listened to it and read it at the same time on YouTube. I remember just like going through, and I had this moment afterwards. I was walking through a shopping center, and I was like, boom, I looked around and I was like, oh my goodness, there was like so many people here. Everyone's buying stuff, and regardless of whatever we want to do, we got to do it. And it feels like everyone was asleep and I was the only person who was awake. And I was like, holy shit. And then I just got like addicted to learning. Like that was the one book, and then it was Think and Grow Rich, and then it was the next one, then it was the next one, and then I did Jordan Peterson's programs. From Jordan Peterson's programs, I invested in like a couple of other small things, started learning how to like build websites and create my own things, and then I just like read some really difficult books, and then I went to some like pretty intense personal development workshops, and changed me forever. And like a lot of my clients helped me as well. Like when I was younger, like my first client was a 22-year-old or 21-year-old multimillionaire. So I had to like sort of change all of my concepts of how I'm going to approach this person, how do I talk to this person, how do I do these things, how do I coach them. I learned so much in such a short period of time. And I've been like really good friends with Glenn and some other coaches and mentors in the space, and we just go back and forth and mentor each other.
That's
and
one of the...
And that was it. It just didn't stop, man. It just like kept growing and growing. And then what I was learning, I was using with my clients, and it worked. Because it worked, I'm like, let's just replicate this.
That's one of the craziest things about what you've built, that now that you have built this and you get all walks of life coming into your community, that you learn so much of every single person has something to offer that comes into your community. If they're willing to come into your community, they obviously have something to offer you, and obviously you have a lot to offer them, but you can learn off every single person that comes in.
Oh yeah, that's why I have so much gratitude towards them, man. Like so much. Even like you, just like I've learned so much from you, in particular from like everything that you've done and how you've grown and how you've just like absolutely kicked ass. And it's pretty nuts, man, when you're like, coaching or mentoring people, and you see someone like you, where when the position you were at was like, you were still in your, like you were doing your business, right? But you weren't like 100% satisfied with what you were doing.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you started like, for lack of better words, getting your act together with business. You got clear on your purpose. I want to hear about the heart cracking open bits for you. I want to hear like how that actually happened, like the stories for how that happened. But just seeing how you do that, it's like a great reminder that whenever I hear anything about you, whatever you're doing now, it's like that healthy competition. Like, fuck, I better get a fucking firecracker up my ass. Louis just bought fucking motocross track in Bali, like climbing out everything. Like, that is fucking so motivating. Like, it's so motivating. So yeah, not only do you learn stuff, but it also like keeps you on the path as well. But I do believe that's important of community, right? Because if you have all those people around you, and like who you surround yourself with, you identify yourself with. You'd know this from if you hang around drug addicts, you start identifying yourself. I'm a druggie. You hang around people that are doing extraordinary things, you're like, well, I'm an extraordinary person. So, fucking awesome.
I'd like to share one little thing that was pretty huge for me. So when I did the hot seat, obviously you know what happened because you were there, but when I did the hot seat, which
Just you have to describe a hot seat. Some people might not know.
Okay, so when you're in the community, you have the opportunity to do a hot seat. So you do a Zoom call, and as many people in the community want to, they can join it. And there's one person that pretty much just get grilled about all the things that they're weak, all their weaknesses and all their strengths. And then they just keep grilling you until you pretty much crack. And I'd probably done it for like 45 minutes, and we'd sort of just been like fucking around. Not much would really happen. And then someone just said something. I can't remember who said it. And then I'd just come to the realization that I didn't love myself, and I pretty much hated myself just from all over the years. I just joked about me being a piece of shit, and my friends jokingly calling me a piece of shit, and we'd call each other pieces of shit. And then I just broke down crying and was like, just the first realization that I did not love myself. And I'd thought that I'd loved myself my whole life. I thought that I'd lived an awesome life, and I thought I was doing really well, and I realized that was like a huge thing that I needed to get over. And then the next day, I wanted to count how many times I called myself a piece of shit in one day, and then before I even finished work, it was like 30 or 40 times, just in my mind. Just like something stupid would happen, like, you piece of shit, in my mind. And then I was like, holy shit. Like, I couldn't believe it. And then ever since then, I just don't do it. Like, if I do it, I pull myself on it once, and it might happen like once or twice a week now. And not only that, and then when I did and that also came into like, I didn't have the belief in myself. That also stemmed into, I didn't have the belief in myself either to do all the little things. And then I don't know if I think it was around that time as well. Yeah, it would have been. And I realized that that was when I was like, I don't know what I want to do for my job, because I don't want to continue bricklaying. But what can I do right now? And the thing that I can do right now is I can make my job work for me, really. So I was doing like big commercial stuff, and I had like a big crew on, and then I was like, I hate this, too stressful. So I completely downsized and just started building like custom stuff, like fireplaces and seating areas, doing concrete bench tops, just like stuff that I really enjoyed doing, and stuff that I actually had no idea about. I full faked it till I made it. Like the first like few jobs, I'm like, I'd lied, and I was like, I've done heaps of these and literally made every mistake under the sun. But now I'm like,
You probably
yeah. Like, I'm probably one of the only person on the Gold Coast that specializes in this stuff now. And not only that, I've got way smaller hours. Like, I literally try to work 6 hours a day if I can. And not only that, I only have to have one person working for me. And not only that, before most of the time I was just working by myself, and I started listening to your podcast, like Diary of a CEO, all this other stuff. And I was finding that I could, instead of rushing around on the phone all day, I could literally learn all day. All day I was just listening to podcasts, audio books, just learning all day, every day. And I'd never done that before either. So
such a hack.
The amount of knowledge that I've learned over the last 18 months has just like been overwhelming.
Dude, that's so sick. What other moments that you had there that you think like really got you to expand from the inside out?
Well, when I was at Tony Robbins, as you were there, it was I don't know exactly what the day was called. It was I think it was the self-belief one, where they fully like, it was like a roller coaster, how they like, pretty much to tell you to call yourself a piece of shit, and they like made all the music like real hectic.
Yeah. They bring it out and make you say fuck you to that version of yourself.
Yeah, they they were bringing a version out of you that you sort of thought you was now. And like, oh, tell yourself that you can't believe this and all that. And then all of a sudden they're just like, now tell that person to fuck you. And then they changed the music, and it was all hectic, and they're like, you are not that person, blah, 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 blah. But just over the whole day, I got a huge surge of self-belief, and just coming out of that, I realized that I could literally do whatever I wanted in life. All I have to do is just put my mind to it and literally just do something. That is something huge that I've learned lately, especially just getting this track going. Like, I didn't exactly have all the belief in the world, but I knew that I wanted to do it, and all I knew that I had to do is just do something. Just do something. And I just said, all I got to do is just go there and do something. And then I just kept ticking things off the list, and then all of a sudden it was just there, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know how I did it. I was like, it was just by just ticking things off the list, the small things, the tiny little things, and then they all just added up, and now it's happening, and
Wild,
it's
isn't
crazy.
it? Yeah, I like a mindset that I like breaking down for that. It's just called next action steps, and you've explained it like 3 times. And like what I do is, if it's like any certain goal that you want to have, like let's say it's like, I want to go travel to America. So like, what's the next action step? Well, one, from traveling to America, I got to get on a plane. Okay, well, how do I get on a plane? Well, I got to buy a ticket. Okay, how do I buy a ticket? Got to go on a website and look at where the tickets are. Okay, how do I go on a website and go to the ticket? I got to get on my phone. Okay, how do I get on my phone? I pull my phone out of my pocket. Do that.
That was literally the most
Right,
basic thing.
like literally, and then that's like the catalyst that creates. a snowball, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's really cool when you understand like your vision and your purpose and where you want to like be and what it is, and then just like breaking it down all the way to the next action step. So if anyone's listening and they're like stuck or confused or whatever, like you've got a goal, it's like, like what's your next action step?
Yeah. And you've really actually got to want to do it. Like,
Yeah, you've got to want to do it. It's meeting a desire.
because there is so many things that I've tried and I've done half-assed because I thought that I might want to do it, but I didn't actually want to do it. And that's like growing up, I've like traveled the world, and all my friends are like, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you afford to do that? How do you only work 6 months of the year and then travel? And I'm like, because I'm willing to spend every cent that I have to go do that and come back and be broke and do it again. And most people always want this cushion of money to sit there and they're like, oh, what if this or what if this? And I'm like, I have the best time of my life when I'm traveling. So that's just what I want to do. But it also taught me that I could be bankrupt. I've been to zero hundreds of times.
Not scared of it either.
Yeah, having $0 in my bank account doesn't matter shit. But now I also know that I can get 10 to 50K back in a matter of months. So it literally does not worry me in the slightest. So now that's what I mean. Like, to get the money that I need to redo this track, I was going to get investors, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fucking risk my whole house. I'm going to refinance my house and I'm doing it myself. I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, I can worse after selling my house. And I'm like, I'll get another one. Who gives a shit? Like, and I told myself, I'm like, 30s now, I'm still young. Like, if I want to do it, the next 5 to 10 years is when to take huge risks. So I need to do it now. I spent all my 20s partying, not giving a shit. And I'm sort of glad I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I got that out of the way, because now I know I'm not going to try a new drug when I'm 35 and get addicted to it, or I'm going to try something and I'll get hooked or whatever. I know that part of my life is completely gone out of the picture.
All those vices are gone.
Yeah, the vices are completely gone. Even alcohol now, like every time I get drunk now, it's just like chipping that tiny little bit of the log away, and one day it's just going to chip too far and I'm like, I'm not drinking ever again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not drinking ever again for a while, and I think I didn't drink for like 2.5 years, and now I've just like completely healed my relationship with it.
Yeah.
Which is like,
I have a pretty
so
good relationship
fantastic.
with it now, but it's just, I just don't think, I think I just want to be sober.
yeah.
And not
if you've
only
been
that,
drunk enough, like that
and-
many times, you're like, I just don't want to get drunk again.
and it's also, my dad's like a bit of an alcoholic, and every time I see him drunk, I'm really like embarrassed and like feel sorry for him. And like it literally happened last night. I had a family dinner and he was smashed, and I didn't even want to speak to him. And like, I love my dad, and it's like it's sad. And he thinks that he's too old to change and all this stuff. And I think that's another huge reason why I want to just stop because my parents have changed a lot since I've started doing the personal development. And
How crazy is it when you start doing it, everyone who's really close to you starts changing as well.
Yeah.
Wild, hey.
And I hope that if I completely stop, it's going to show him that he can stop, and that it's possible, and just to be like his role model nearly pretty much, because there's been lots of other things that they've even just my dad just being able to speak to me about certain things now. Like he would have never told the kids that he loved them or anything, and now like every time I speak to him, like I give him a hug now and I say I love you. And when
Did you get that out of him?
yeah,
Did you get him?
yeah,
Tell me how that happened.
I just started.
And when did you do it? Like, what was the thing that made you be like, I'm gonna tell my fucking dad that I love him?
No, well, it'd always be a drunk thing. So it always happened, but it was always drunk. So, and then I remember saying to him once when I was drunk, no, he was drunk and I wasn't drunk, and I said, I need you to start saying this stuff when you're sober, because it doesn't mean anything when you're drunk. And like, because when he gets drunk, he'd be like really like, I love you. He's like, you're my boy. He's like, all that stuff.
Walls come down.
Yeah, and I'm like, it means nothing. And then I can't remember pinpoint exactly when it was, but after that, it just slowly started sinking in for him, and he just started opening up a little bit more, and he started. he started opening up, and I started saying things to him, and then that allowed him, created space for him to say some things as well. And to be honest, I sent them, what was that? The strength and the weakness things. I wanted to do that with my parents, and
there's an exercise we have where it's like you message the 5 people closest to you, like what are my strengths and weaknesses, and they tell you, and it's pretty confronting. So,
well, I wanted my mum and dad to do that without me, and I sent them the message, and dad mum's like, Dad's not going to do it, and then I said, what about if I do it with you and all 3 of us will do it? And then this was just before I went to Canada at the start of the year. I was like, when I get back, we're going to do it. And then when I got back, I mentioned it, and Dad just kept pushing it off. And I ended up doing it with Mum, and then me and Mum had we had a really special moment, and we also sort of come to the realization that we needed to help Dad as well, because it also makes me sad that Mum's got to deal with that shit as well, because she doesn't drink or anything but yeah, I really think that I can help them just by setting the example. And that's a huge thing that you have done for me as well. Like, you don't only run this company and this community, but you set the standard for everyone, because that's helped me with my business as well, because I used to just be one of those people that I would like rock up, tell everyone, hurry up, shut the fuck up. Why hasn't this been done? And then be there for 2 hours and leave, you know what I mean? And sometimes I'd be like, oh, I've got other jobs to do, and I'd just be going home to smoke a joint or whatever, you know what I mean? I'd be literally doing the worst thing that I could do. And now I know that, like, I have to set the example. My workers aren't going to get any better unless I set the example. So now I will try to be the hardest worker at work.
Make you feel proud of yourself? You feel good?
Yeah, absolutely. And like now I've had a friend started working with me, and he hasn't done any of the shit that I do now. And he's been a brickie his whole life. He's the dude that I started the apprenticeship with. And he's loving life now, because he's doing all this new stuff. It's like he's like learning all this new stuff every day, and it's like enjoyable for him. He's like, this is the first time that I've been going to work in years that I'm actually like enjoying it. I'm doing all this new stuff. And not only that, I've like set the standard of the work pace and what we're doing. And not only that, he sees, because he's living with me now as well till the end of the year, and he sees that I come home, work ain't done, like I'll sit on the laptop for an hour or two as well, like every night, like doing quotes and all that stuff. And it's good to see that, it's good to be recognised that the hard work's getting paid off too.
Yeah, and it's like a validation. As I mentioned before, it's like your identity gets validated by who you're around. And it's like when people like, you know, validate you, you're a hard worker and you're crushing it and you get shit done.
Yeah.
Like, that feels so good, especially when you love what you're doing. Because it's one thing that like that I want to eliminate through working with men is like a bit of like that contributes to my purpose, is like making tradie work cool again.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a toxic place.
Because when I was doing it and I was working for my dad, I fucking hated it. I remember I almost beat the shit out of this tradie, but I didn't, because he was like 15 years older than me. I was like 16, and like all I wanted to do was punch him in the face. You know those moments when you get so close and then you just freeze and you're like, oh, and like you stop yourself.
Yeah.
That was my dad's company, but he fucking like scratched his ass and like wiped it under my nose.
Yeah, gross.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I told my dad, you know what he did? Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. It was then
Suck it up.
For my ideal for masculinity, just like disintegrated. I was like, fuck, men are shit and they don't know fucking anything. So they were so dumb and hopeless. So, and I'm like, fuck that, man. Like, especially like when you're working with your friends, like you guys are having so much fun. You're learning all these new skills, and it's like every single day there's something new. And there's a challenge you're overcoming together with like camaraderie and like hanging out with your bro, like out doing shit. Like, yeah. Fuck, that's so fun. And it doesn't have to be an excuse. It's just a slight culture shift.
Yeah. And now I actually enjoy going to work. And not only that, like, it's sort of like now the motocross thing, like, it's not like even such a a rush anymore because I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I'm like, it's just cruising now. I'm like, when things happen, it happens. Before, where it was like, I need to get out of this job. And I was freaking out because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah, but I just lost my train of thought again. But what were we talking about just before that?
We're talking about like tradie culture, shifting it. Now you like doing what you're doing, and before you didn't, and now you're working with.
I'm not sure, but I also see that. Yeah, I've seen that Tyler started that podcast as well about talking about all that stuff, which is awesome as well.
So cool.
Shout out to him for that.
I know, just trying to remove the tradie culture.
Oh no, I just remembered what I was going to think. I was like, now I have sort of removed myself from all those toxic people, but I'm still find it hard to find connection with new people that give me value and actually continue the friendship. So I don't know. I really like, now that I've moved up here, I really like being alone. My whole life, I was like accumulating all of these friends, and then I got to a point I was like, I don't even want any of them. And now I do have some good people, like some of the people I've met in the community and a few other people, and like I'll see them every now and then, but I find it hard to get out of my comfort zone and go to meet new people now because I'm so comfortable being by myself.
We're doing a thing in a couple of weeks. Come do it.
What's the thing?
We're just doing a catch up. We'll just go with Tim's.
Yeah, well, he's one of the people that I've been hanging out with heaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think
you only need a few though.
Yeah,
as well.
Exactly.
Like the whole reason, like a lot of it there is Friedrich Nietzsche talks about it, and the reason you get into relationships and the reason that you become friends with someone is to confirm your beliefs about yourself.
Yeah.
Which comes down to the identity, right? I want to hang out with you because you confirm these things about me. But then what happens is it can be quite manipulative because you can put yourself or frame yourself in a position where people confirm things about yourself that you want to believe about yourself that aren't true.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how we set ourselves up to basically have like friends that don't really serve us or make us feel unhappy or whatever it is, because it's like all these beliefs that we had about ourselves are a bit shit.
Yeah.
Right. Or they're false for us because we've convinced everyone else that we're something. And boom, now we've got the mask and it's hard to remove. So when we're around the right people who confirm the right beliefs around ourselves, who don't both smoke up our ass and can also see through our shit, then it's like, awesome. A couple of those is way more important than all these other people confirming beliefs about yourself.
You just made me think about something which could possibly be some sort of negative right now, but I think that I nearly even think that I've distanced myself even away from even people like Tim, because I don't distance myself. Like I catch up with him. I think, not distancing myself because I do love him. But when people I feel that they have more, I don't know, like they have something to offer. I feel like I'm using them.
Oh yeah.
Like just even say if we just started becoming really good friends, I'd feel like I'm using you, even though we're just friends.
Do you want to get into that or not, real quick?
Oh, I've just started thinking about it, so I would like to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, well, that's like, I mentioned beforehand, like your beliefs from what you get is how worthy that you think you are. So it's like for you, why don't you think you're worthy enough to have friends who can really help you and inspire you?
I'm not sure. I think it's just different. I've always been, I also don't want to blow smoke in my ass, but I feel like I've always been one of the people to be the giver, not necessarily the giver or the person that someone will come to ask for things and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I'd feel guilty asking, to say Tim, for example, I'd feel guilty asking him for something.
Yeah. So when was the first time that you experienced that guilt or shame and had to shut it off?
There's been, since I've moved to Queensland, there's been a few people that I've met that have probably, I don't know, been probably more successful than me or in my eyes. I don't even know why I think that, because when I think of it, I'm like, I don't want their life. I really don't know.
I have a bit of an idea from listening to you. When was the very first time you experienced that?
I don't think I could say it. I literally just thought of that just then as you were saying it, because I was just asking, I was like, why do I do that? And then I was like, I think it's because I think I'm guilty. I feel guilty that I'm using that person.
When
but-
did you use people?
Or I've used people my whole life.
Right. So do you think that that would have influenced, if you've used people your whole entire life, do you think that that has influenced your ability to receive?
Possibly. Now that, well, growing up, doing what I was doing when I was younger, everything's just revolved around using people. What can you get out of this person to get more money? What can you get out of this person to get something valuable? Yeah. But the thing is, none of my friends have ever been like that. But yeah.
You were.
Yeah, I was.
Right. But you were. When was the last time you ever like properly received something from someone that was just unconditional?
I don't like receiving. That is something huge. I don't like receiving at all. I don't usually take things.
Why? Why don't you like receiving? Like, because if I was to give you a gift and I put so much time and effort and thought into it,
I'd feel guilty because I hadn't gotten you something.
yeah, right. But then if you did that, that'd be offensive to me. So I'm like, no, I just wanted to give you this gift. So
Yeah.
fuck you for not receiving it.
Yeah. I just never looked at it like that, really.
Right. So, like,
And not everybody thinks the way that you do. I feel like I've grown up with a lot of more selfish people that sort of have given me that mentality that, but like I said, the people that I'm hanging out with now, that I hang out with, I'm sure probably think the same as that, which I just need to do a bit of a mind shift, really.
We don't need to do anything, really.
Yeah.
It's just in terms of like receiving, it's just like it's your capacity to get open and surrender. It's something that you haven't been able to do. And usually when it comes to receiving and not feeling guilty, usually it's like a trust thing.
Yeah.
I would think. Like, you know, oh, I have to get this person something, otherwise I owe them a favor. I've got to do this thing, or I'm in that person's debt and shoes, because that's how it always was. It was tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat.
Yeah.
So I haven't experienced like, you know, some real genuine, open, like love from someone.
Yeah.
It's interesting because receiving is a gift.
My two best friends actually do. They do buy me shit randomly. But yeah.
But it doesn't have to be buying you something.
Yeah, well, my two best friends, they do that, but it's always been that. We've been friends since the start of high school. They're different, but it's more so the new people letting people in.
Oh, interesting. New people letting people in because like trust, heart open. Do you find you unconsciously compare yourself to other people or size people up?
Oh yeah, I compare myself to every single person. But and like competitively as well, like I'm super competitive. Like as soon as anybody is good at something, I'm like, I want to be better than them at it.
Yeah, right. You compare yourself. And then that's again, that comes down to either, well, if I'm not as good as this person, then I'm not worth this or I'm not good enough to receive this.
I'm definitely getting better because that was a huge thing when I'd come to realization about motocross and stuff, that I was like, not going to be a pro. I'm not going to make money from it. I felt like a real shit cunt.
Yeah, felt like a failure.
Yeah, I did. I felt, and I was nearly embarrassed to do things like after that.
Yeah.
And then I stopped riding for ages, and then I realized that was
Had like a tantrum.
that was the thing that I'd love to do the most. And I was like, I'd be stupid not to continue doing this.
Well, what I would do just from like here, if you want to work on it, you shouldn't have to work on this, but it's great, like self-awareness. It's just to like sort of question around, you know, those key moments. One thing that like when I was listening for you was your very first boss who put heaps of shit on you. He just used you and everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Used everyone around you. Then you adapted those traits. So I'm assuming like you either might have tried to give or do something back in the day, then it got rejected. And then you tried really hard at something like motocross, whenever you tried really hard at something and then failed. So when you think about like worthiness, when things come up, like someone does something really nice for you, like does something nice, not necessarily give you something, because you can do something nice to give to someone. You can give a hug to someone, which is really nice. You can say something and someone you have to receive. There's all these different things you got to receive. And so it has this trigger of being like, oh, I don't deserve this. Oh, I'm going to fail if I have this. Oh, I'm not good enough for this. Oh, someone's going to shut me down. Oh, someone's going to reject me. Oh, I'm going to create a friendship from someone oh, this person's saying this to me, but I feel so guilty about them saying this because I've always used them.
Yeah.
Right? I've always used this person. Now they're doing something nice to me and they don't even know that I'm still using them. Fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guilt and shame can
Yeah,
surround your mind like that. So
Yeah,
I just
and-
question that.
And huge things as well, like growing up, there was like, if you were to do something nice to someone, you'd want them to know that it was you as well.
Yeah.
Which
You're
is
doing
like-
it to get something back,
Yeah.
which is not unconditional.
Yeah. That was like a huge thing growing up.
It's crazy because like moving forward from that, like you can develop some really good friendships and keep friendships in your life in terms of like feeling deserved and worthy of them, that which can bring you so much joy, even especially with new people. There's one thing that I find with men in particular is they like find it real difficult to make new friendships
Yeah.
because it's how we identify ourselves in the group. It's like, okay, there's a new hierarchy here, which is a little bit scary. What are the hierarchies within the hierarchy? It could be like a certain group of friends, and let's say hang out, group of volleyballers, and you're the baby. It's like, fuck, we're going in this volleyball hierarchy now that I have to climb. But it doesn't matter who you hang out with, like whatever group of friends, there's certain hierarchies in there.
Yeah.
If you compare yourself to those hierarchies, sometimes I go, holy shit. And you don't have to climb them,
Yeah.
but there's some if you choose to, do and see how fun it is.
Yeah.
Because those challenges are sometimes so great to get in.
Yeah. But it is all on you. Most of those people couldn't give two shits whether you were good or not. They like, if you're a good person, they're just happy to be your friend and they're just happy that you're there, really. And another thing that I wanted to touch on, which I just thought of as well, which I'd struggled with, after I got back from Nepal, I felt because the food was terrible. You can't eat meat over there because everything's carried in by yaks, and obviously the yaks don't have refrigerators on them, so everything goes off and spoiled. So you eat a vegetarian diet. Their main dish is called dal bhat, which is like curried potatoes and like lentil soup and stuff. And we've forbidden that word in the house now. I was like, I don't ever want to have that ever again. But when I got back, especially when I went to Bali, even like recently, I just completely overindulged hard, and I found my diet has been absolutely terrible since then. Which has been like, after doing something like that, I found it really hard to get back into routine. I was just feeling lazy, and then like I was telling myself that it was okay because I'd just done something so hectic, and then I was just getting super lazy. And I feel like, honestly, I've nearly thought about coming back after the community because I was so just
Down.
nearly down after it. I reckon I was down. I was literally down. I had like a high from like going to Bali and getting the motocross track, but like even like after that, when I got back, I was just like,
They're real,
I just
man.
want to sit at home and
Do nothing.
eat cake.
Dude, some of the most depressing moments I've ever had in my life is after our next level retreat, is after the very first like workshop that I did for the guys, and has been after my bodybuilding competitions. The worst I've ever felt.
Because they were such high moments, and then
So crazy because they're so expansive. It's sort of like, if you go to like the gym and you train really hard and you get DOMs the next day. When you're stretching and expanding your spirit, it's the same thing. So after the next level retreat, we're doing it early Feb, I'm going to Dubai for a week. I'm just fucking...
ride the high.
Yeah, we'll ride the high, but then also like chill from the lows and just like nourish myself.
Yeah.
Because like, as like when we're facilitating it, like we put everything into that thing. And afterwards I was just like, for like a week.
Yeah, I
So
suppose you were facilitating. You weren't. I guess you were part of it, but you weren't.
Yeah, so I was nuts. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go away for like a week just to like recharge for everything.
Yeah.
So that's one. And then obviously, one thing I know, like I'm not like a gut expert or anything, but I've got some basic knowledge. You just, when bacteria changes in your stomach and then you got to like change it back, like switching diets, like just takes a whole lot of energy because it's like your body gets accustomed to one and then it's got to change again, accustomed to another. And you're like, every time that I've switched diets, like bodybuilding or whatever, it's fucked me up. This one time, I just started eating lentil pasta because I was like, I just want to stay away from gluten for a while because it wasn't making me feel that good. So I started smashing lentil pasta. So I was having like a kilo of lentil pasta a day because I ate a lot. Yeah. Dude, I got so clogged up, bro. Like I got so clogged up. I just started having this whim pain in my stomach that wouldn't come out. It wasn't like heaps of wind or anything. It wasn't like a fart, like a maniac. But it was some of the worst pain. I just wake up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. because apparently...
Rip a massive fart.
No, not even fart, just in pain. I'd literally fall out my bed and start crying and yelling. Yeah. Because what happens is your body tries to dump like bile or something at 3 a.m. in terms of a body clock in the middle of the night. It goes, boom. Oh, shit. Yeah, and because it like dumps bile in, what happens is it tries to move through your body and nothing could move. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, never again am I switching like to do like a crazy diet.
It tries to move through your body?
Like just like what you've eaten. Like bile like dumps into your stomach or whatever, it goes in and then like from whatever organ.
Wouldn't that be like acidic and like...
Yeah, it was. I had a lot of heartburn. Yeah, I was experiencing heaps of heartburn at the time. And like it dumps to try to help shit move through and like digest, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
So it was nuts. Ended up eating like just a massive surf of bentonite clay and it worked. Fixed me up. What the hell?
What is that?
Bentonite clay, it's kind of like mud, bro. It's literally just clay.
Yeah.
It's just dirt. Just ate some fucking dirt and it fixed. I rang up my naturopath friend who's like high level naturopath and he was like, yeah, bro, just put some fucking clay in some water and drink it and you'll be sweet. And I drank it and I was sweet. I was like, what the hell, dude? Yeah, just knew some wild shit.
That's crazy.
But yeah, for anyway, man, anyone who's listening, I like to like challenge them like from like the podcast. Have you got a challenge for anyone who's listening to this? If you'd like to challenge them that they could take action on today.
I think this was something that I've gone through. Just say, even for 1 week, distance yourself from your friends, your family, whatever, and just do you for 1 week, and then write down at the end of the week everything that you've done and what you prioritize, and then you'll see that what you genuinely like to do.
I love that so much. We've never had that. I guess that's super original. And because you have your own podcast as well, when you're running a few things, where can people find you and jump on?
Well, I'm actually not doing that anymore. That was one of those things that I tried and I was like, it's not for me. Which I've found my thing now, which is awesome. But I do have Instagram. I don't even really care about giving that out. But
if you got unknown Louis, guys, you're never going to be able to find him.
But when I open the motocross track, I will come back and I will plug the shit out of that.
Okay. Sounds good, bro. So, man, just thank you for being you. Thank you for coming into the community and making like such a big change and like taking all the little steps and the huge steps, getting really clear on your purpose and taking action, leading by example and setting the standard in your own life as well, man. It means a lot to me. I find it so powerful that you're out there doing that and it like makes my purpose and my vision come true. Like, hearing your story. So thanks so much, man.
Well, thank you as well, because without you, I don't think I would be in the position that I am now.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome.